Welcome to the Madison Miller Podcast. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd, 2026. Monster show today. College basketball, NBA, NHL, soccer. The Olympics starts tomorrow. We'll get into that. We'll recap the first episode of Idol. The second episode of Idol aired last night, but we'll push that up a couple days because I was having some cable issues last night, so I missed some parts of it. On this day, news and notes and best bet. We'll begin with college basketball. Small window last night. We'll go over the results and we will look ahead to tonight, which bigger than yesterday, but not huge. NC Central over Maryland Eastern 65-63. Howard over Coppin State 72-53. Number 14, North Carolina over Syracuse, 87-77. Alabama State over Florida A&M, 79-66. Boston University over Holy Cross, 72-64. Lamar over Southeast Louisiana, 73-54. Texas Rio Grande over Houston Christian, 74-57. Nichols over Northwestern State, 61-58. Stephen F. Austin over McNeese, 67-60. New Orleans over East Texas A&M, 94-85. Bethune over Alabama A&M, 80-62. Southern over Jackson State, 96-91 in OT. Grambling over Alcorn State, 74-50. Tennessee Tech over Tennessee State, 90-85. Number 11, Kansas over number 13, Texas Tech, 64-61. Incarnate Word over A&M Corpus Christi, 71-69. Sacramento State over Weber State, 104-90. And Portland State over Idaho State, 88-65. All right, 6:30. Number 23, Miami of Ohio against Buffalo. Miami of Ohio by 7 total, 160 and 13/20. And we have 4.5 and 164.5. So this is interesting. So I'm going to go with the under. Akron, Michigan. Or Akron, Eastern Michigan. My line's Akron 6.5, total 155 and 7/20. And it's 12.5 and 153.5. I'm going to take Eastern Michigan getting the points. Canisius, Niagara. My line is Niagara 1.6, so 135 and 3/20. And it's 2.5 and 126.5. Oh, over. 7 o'clock, NBC, SN, and Peacock. Xavier, number 3, UConn. Mine's UConn 13.3, total 148 and 4/5. And it is 17.5 and 147.5. I'm going to take Xavier getting the points. That's a lot of points for Xavier. ACC Network, BC, number 4, Duke. My line is Duke, 15.25, total 142 and 9/10. And it is 26.5 and 140.5. I'll take BC to cover. That's a large number. ESPN 2, Ole Miss, number 25, Tennessee. I have Tennessee by 7, total 148 and 4/5. And it's 12.5 and 139.5. I'm going to take the over. That's a low number. Southern Illinois, Illinois State. My line is Illinois State 8.7, total 146 and a 20th. And it is 8.5 and 141.5. Over. Next up, VCU Fordham. My line is VCU 4.3, total 146 and a quarter. And it is 7.5 and 145.5. I'm going to take Fordham getting 7 and a hook. CBS Sports Network, St. Bonaventure, Dayton. Mine's Dayton 7.3, total 150 and a 20th. 8.5, 146.5, over. Western Michigan and Ohio. Ohio 9 1/4, total 154 and 3/4. And it is 9.5 and 156.5. Slight under. Kent State, Toledo. I have Toledo 1.2 to 163 and 3/10. And it's 1.5, 161.5. Slide over. Central Michigan, UMass. Mine's UMass 8.7, total 151 and 4/5, and it's 9.5 and 151.5. Okay. Slight lean. Central Michigan. All right, so Ball State, Bowling Green. My line's Bowling Green by 7, total 144 and 7/20, and it's 10.5 and 138.5. Over. South Carolina, Texas. SEC Network, my line is Texas 6 1/4 total, 155 and 11/20. And it's 13.5 and 149.5. That's an interesting one. So 6-point differential on the total, 7-point differential on the side. So South Carolina plus the big number is going to be the pick. 8 o'clock on Peacock, number 22, St. John's against DePaul. St. John's has turned their season around. I have them as a 4.3 favorite, total 149 and 17/20. And it is 10.5 and 145.5. All I just said about St. John's, I actually think they're not going to cover here, so I'm going to take DePaul to cover. Indiana State against Evansville. My line is Evansville 1.7, total 145 and 11/20, and it is Indiana State 2.5, total 146.5. I'll take Evansville plus 2.5 and plus 116 outright. UIC Murray State, I have Murray State 4.8, total 154 and 13/20, and it's 6.5 and 158.5 under. Valpo Bradley, I have Bradley by 9, total 146 and 2 fits. And 7.5 and 143.5 over. LaSalle, Loyola, Chicago, I have Loyola 2.2, total 142 and 7/20. And it's 2.5 and 138.5. I'll go over. 8:30 SIU Eversville, Lindenwood. I have Lindenwood 6.4, total 142 and 3 fits. And it's 3.5 and 141.5. I'm going to lay 3.5 with Lindenwood. Little Rock, Tennessee Martin. I have Tennessee Martin 5.2, total 141 and a fifth. And it's 6.5 and 136.5 over. 9 o'clock, ACC Network, Pitt, number 18, Virginia. I have Virginia 12.5, total 148 and a fifth. And it's 13.5 and 142.5 over. Remember back then they used to put Virginia's totals 120 something because of their reputation. All right, CBS Sports Network, number 19, St. Louis against Davidson. I have St. Louis 5.6, total 149 and 2 fits. And it is 8.5 and 149.5. I'm going to take Davidson getting the 8 and the hook. Drake Belmont, I have Belmont 10.3, total 152.5. 9.5, 154.5 under. Nevada, Boise State, I have Nevada 1 1/4, total 148 and 9/20, and it is Boise State 5.5, total 144.5. I'm going to take Nevada plus 5.5 and plus 225 outright. I'm surprised Boise's that big of a favorite. I just am anti-Boise. ESPN 2, NC State, SMU. I have SMU by a half, total 161, and it's NC State 1.5, total 160. Now I have to take SMU plus 1.5 and minus 102. Air Force Grand Canyon. Mine's Grand Canyon 14.5, total 140 and 3 fifths. And it's 24.5 and 135.5. I'm going to take Air Force in the points. 9:30 Big Ten Network, Rutgers, UCLA. I have UCLA 12.8, total 146.8, and it's 13.5 and 141.5. I'll take the over. 10 o'clock on Peacock, Indiana, USC. I have SC 2.3, total 154 and a fifth, and it's Indiana 1.5, total 151.5. So I'm going to have to go USC plus 1.5 and minus 105. I'm surprised they're not favored. Fox Sports 1, 11 o'clock, UNLV, Fresno State. UNLV 0.8, total 149 and 3/4. And it is 1.5 and 150.5. I'll take UNLV plus 1.5 and plus 104 outright. And then CBS Sports Network, Wyoming, San Diego State. I have San Diego State 10.1, total 149 and 7/10. And it's 12.5 and 142.5. I'm going over on that one. Okay, now move on to the NBA. We'll go over the results from yesterday. It was a small window. And then we'll look ahead to tonight, which is a big window. It's just surprising how Tuesday became a big NBA day overnight. And then Monday was all of a sudden goes from a decent day to a small day. Hornets over the Pelicans 102.95. They should have been best bet. And I did bet it. But I didn't give it out as best bet because it was a 3 o'clock game. But I was lucky, to be honest with you. I was lucky because they only covered by a half. Rockets over the Pacers 118-114. Grizzlies over the Teals 137-128. Way off on best bet. We have news about the Grizzlies coming up in a little bit. And then the Sixers over the Clippers 128-113. All right. Tonight's game, 7 o'clock, Nuggets Pistons from Detroit. If Detroit by 10, total 331 and 3/10. And it is 5 and 228.5. I love the Pistons minus the 5. Jazz Pacers. I have the Pacers by 9, total 237 and a 10th. And it is. Whew. Why is Utah favored? Just because they. I don't want to get into it. Just because they made a trade. We'll save that for news and notes. But those players aren't playing for the Jazz tonight. Why are they favored? I like Indiana plus 1.5 and plus 108 straight up. Knicks Wizards minus Knicks 12 and 1/8, total 232 and 3/10, and it's 13 and 227.5. I like the over. 7:30 Lakers Nets. I have Lakers by 9, total 227 and a 10th, and it's 8 and 222.5. I'll take the over. Hawks Heat. My line is the Heat 5 and 3/4, total 236 and 13/20, and it is 1 and 237.5. Love Miami minus 1. 8 o'clock NBC and Peacock Celtics Mavs. I have the Celtics by 13, total 227 and 19/20. And it's 7 and 223.5. I'm going to lay the 7 with the Celtics. Bulls Bucks. My line is the Bulls 6 and 7/8, total 231 and 9/10. It's 2.5 and 223.5. I know they just made a trade too. Oh my god, all these lines are going to be wacky. Because of the trades, I'm going to go with the over. And plus, I have the bigger edge there. Magic Thunder. Minus the Thunder 13 and a quarter, so 229 and 7/10. And it's 8.5 and 220.5. I'll go over. 10 o'clock Sixers Warriors. I have Golden State 1 and 7/8, total 231 and 13/20. And it's 3 and 221.5. I love the over in that game. At 11 o'clock on NBC and Peacock, Suns Blazers. Not a bad game. Before the season, we thought this was a horrible game, but now it's not. My line is Suns 2 and a quarter till 229 and a 10th, and it's 2.5 and 218.5. I love the over in that game. Okay, now move on to the NHL. We'll go over the results from yesterday and look ahead to tonight's games. Sabres over the Panthers 5-3, Sens over the Pens 3-2, Caps over the Isles 4-1, Wild over the Habs 4-3 OT, Preds over the Blues 6-5, Blackhawks over the Sharks 6-3, Stars over the Jets 4-3 OT, Red Wings over the Habs 2-0, Mammoth over the Canucks 6-2, Leafs over the Flames 4-2. All right, 7 games tonight. So a decent window, not a lot. 7 o'clock, Blue Jackets Devils from the Rock. Pick a minus 110 each way, over under 6.5, overs plus 112, unders minus 140. Jackets plus 1.5 is minus 280, Devils minus 1.5 plus 220. Tough one, but I'm gonna go with New Jersey at home at minus 110. Capitals Flyers. Flyers minus 134, Caps plus 112, over under 6.5, overs plus 102, unders minus 124. Caps plus 1.5 is minus 230. Flyers minus 1.5 plus 184. I'm going to go with Washington plus 112. I don't know why they're a dog. Or that big of a dog. If anything, that should be the pick'em game. And I think the Devils should be like a slight home favorite over Columbus. Sens Hurricanes. Canes minus 176. Sens plus 146. Over under 6.5. Minus 110 each way. Sens plus 1.5 is minus 170. Canes minus 1.5 plus 138. I'm going to go with the under, but I don't feel good about it. 7:30 ESPN Plus and Hulu. Sabres Lightning. Lightning minus 194, Sabres plus 160, over under 6.5, overs even money, unders minus 122. Sabres plus 1.5 is minus 160, Lightning minus 1.5 is plus 130. First game, I'm going to go with Lightning in regulation is, dude, steep of a price. I'm going to go alternate under 5.5 at plus 130. On TNT, Pens Islanders. Pick a -110 each way. Over under 5.5. Overs -3. Unders +106. Pens +1.5 is, or I'm sorry, Pens -1.5 is +20. Owls +1.5 is -20. Wrong team is favored on the puck line. I know the Pens have more points, but I think the Islanders should be a puck line favorite at home. I want to take the Islanders at home at -110, and I think the Islanders should be -130, and the Pens should be plus. 8:30 Leafs Oilers. Oilers -188, Leafs +155, over under 6.5, overs -144, unders +118. Leafs +1.5 is -162, Oilers -1.5 is +130. I'm surprised this one is this close. I'm actually gonna go with the curveball here and pick the Maple Leafs outright +155. They're playing better hockey lately. And then 10 o'clock on TNT, Kraken Ducks. Anaheim -140, Seattle +116, over under 6.5, overs -110, unders -112. Seattle +1.5 is -20, Ducks -1.5 +172. I'm going with under 6.5 at -112. Okay, now I'll move on to soccer. We'll go over the results from yesterday and a little bit of today, and then we'll pick whatever games have not been kicked off yet. I still can't get over the fact that we had NBA trades galore. I can't wait for news and notes. Our yesterday's soccer results. Premier League, Sunderland over Burnley 3-0. La Liga, Mallorca over Sevilla 4-1. Serie A, Udinese over AS Roma 1-0. Pro League, Al Nassr over Al Raida 1-0. Al Hilal, Al Ali 0-0 draw. Al Akdod, Neom SC 1-1 draw. All right. So Pro League, Damak Al Khalod 0-0 draw. Al Etifak over Al Tamoun 1-0, and Al Kiriash over Al Khalij 1-0. Okay, going on right now. Copa de France, Stade de Reims and Le Mans, and then coming up at 3 o'clock at Marseille and Stade Rennes. So Martial -240, Rennes 5-1. The draw is 4-1. For this one, I'm gonna go with over 3.5 goals +110. All right, ELC 245, Blackburn, Sheffield Wednesday. Blackburn -3, Sheffield +750, draw +390. I'm going to go with under 2.5 goals at +105. Hull City, Watford, Hull +135, Watford 2-1, the draws +3, go with Hull +135. Sheffield United, Oxford United, Sheffield -290, Oxford 7-1, the draws +370. For this one, I'm going to go with under 2.5 goals -102. Portsmouth, Ipswich Town postponed. All right. German Cup, Bayern Leverkusen and St. Pauli. Leverkusen -260, St. Pauli 6-1, the draws +380. I'm going to go with over 3.5 goals +152. Serie A, Bologna, Milan. Milan's +150. Bologna's 2-1. The draw. Oh no, the draw's 2-1. Bologna's +210. I'm gonna go with Milan at +150. Spanish Copa del Rey at 3 o'clock. Albacete and Barcelona. Barcelona 7-1. The Albacate's 12-1. The draw's +650. First one, I'm going to go under 3.5 goals at +112. Carabao Cup on Paramount. Arsenal, Chelsea. Arsenal leads 3-2 on aggregate. And they're -165 favorites. Chelsea's +390s. The draw's 3-1. I'm going to do under 2.5 goals +110. And then we have the Dutch KNVB Becker going on right now. AC Alkmaar and FC 20. Also at 3 o'clock, we have this Premiership, St. Mirren and Hearts. Hearts minus 110, St. Mirren plus 330. Draw plus 3 going with Hearts on the road at minus 110. Dutch KNV Becker going on right now. AC Alkmaar FC 20. Oh, wait, I just said that. All right, CONCACAF Champions Cup, all first leg games. 7 o'clock, you have Forge FC and Tigres. Tigres minus 275, Forge plus 490, draw plus 280. I'm going to do over 2.5 goals at minus 102. 9 o'clock, Olympia America. America minus 135, Olympia plus 360, draw plus 260. I'm going to do, again, over 2.5 goals, minus 102. At 11 o'clock, San Diego FC and UNAM. San Diego's minus 120, UNAM is 3-1, the draw's plus 260. I'm going to go with the draw at plus 260 because I want to throw a dart at something. I'm just looking at tomorrow's slate in case there's any, like, pro league that I want to touch on for the morning. But Copa de la Reina tomorrow. We have Atletico Madrid, Athletic Club, 12:45. 1 o'clock is Madrid CFF and CD Tenerife. And then Dutch KNV Becker, 12:45. NEC Najima and FC Volendam. And we might be on air by the time PSV Eindhoven Heerenveen comes on. All right, so there you have it for soccer. Olympics begins tomorrow. Very exciting times, obviously. It's going to start Eastern time at 5:30 a.m. And it's going to be fun. It's a 6-hour difference between Eastern time and Italian time. So 5:30 Eastern brings us to 11:30 Eastern, or I'm sorry, 11:30 time in Cortina. Alpine skiing, men's downhill first official training. And then at 1 o'clock Eastern, 7 o'clock there, mixed doubles round robin session of curling sheet A against Sweden and Korea. And then curling sheet B is Great Britain and Norway. And then sheet C is Canada and Czech Republic. And the sheet D is Estonia and Switzerland. And then 7:30 is Lug, men's single official training. They have run 1 and run 2. So let's see if we have any stuff for curling. All right, so Sweden's minus 215, South Korea's plus 144. I'm going to go over 11.5 points at minus 113. Great Britain, Norway. I think Great Britain will win. I'm going to go over points as well, minus 113. Canada's minus 160 over Czechia, minus 650 and plus 420 is the lines. I think that Canada covers 3.5. I'm going to do another over, and then Estonia, Switzerland. I think the dog covers and wins here. The Switzerland plus 114. I'm going to take them here to win. So that's going to be your upset there. And then so men's downhill training. Pick the gold. I think Dominic Paris of Italy has good value at plus 750. So does Giovanni Franzoni of Italy at 8-1. So those are going to be my two. I'm going to give it. I'm going to say Paris. And then Luge. This is training, so I'm gonna give out the pick, my gold medal pick. I do think there's gonna be value on some players. Felix Loch is the favorite of Germany plus 125, along with Jonas Mueller of Austria at plus 125. I think that Mueller's teammate Wolfgang Kindl at 16-1 has some value, so I'm going to give him out for value. But in terms of who wins, I think that Mueller plus 125 is a good bet. And I think if Loke and Langdon were partners in doubles, then all bets in Luge are off. So there you have it for some Olympic picks for you on the podcast. Now we'll move on to American Idol. We're going to go over the first episode, not the last night's episode, because like I said at the top of the show, my TV kept going in and out. I don't know if it was the cable or it was just scoozing in and out, and then it was just a weird twitch, whatever. So episode 1 aired a week and a half ago. It was the 26th of January. Or not a week and a half ago. A little less than that. So the Nashville audition site, Belmont University. The first contestant, Lucas Leone, 17 years old, from Gallatin, Tennessee, performing Fall in Love Someday, which is an original by him. Gets 3 S's in. Kayla Richardson, 29, of Pensacola, Florida, Glitter in the Air by Pink, 3 S's in. Her little son, Drew, 9 years old, sang a song as well. Jason Arnett, 24 years old, of Fouquet, Varina, North Carolina, Fire Away by Chris Stapleton, 3 S's in. Daniel Stallworth of Moss Point, I believe it's Mississippi, performs Don't Stop Believing by Journey, 3 S's in. Tate Emmons, cute little kid, 15 years old, Lake, Mississippi, performing Brandon Lake's Hard Fought, Hallelujah. Carrie gave him a yes, but the 2 gentlemen gave him a no. I felt the same way as the gentleman. I think he's a year away. We had a couple of 1 year away people. And that's how I looked at Tate. He'll be on the show maybe 2 years from now. Jesse Finling, 19 years old, from Massapequa Park, New York, performing In the Stars by Benson Boone, 3 S's in. He was really good. There was a fake auditioner named Dylan Holmes, originally from Spring Lake, Michigan, performing Wondering Why by the Red Clay Strays, and there was some Brad Paisley stuff with that, and he was a fake auditioner listening to Brad Paisley. Rick Boyce, a real auditioner, Goldsburg, North Carolina, performing Simple Man by Leonard Skinner, 3 S's in. A young girl named Brianna Yancey, 3 S's in. A young girl, Jackie Lee, from Colts Neck, New Jersey, performing I Put a Spell on You, 3 S's in. We gotta see how far she goes, considering that's a local girl. And if she goes far, that's gonna be a big story here in New Jersey. Genevieve Hayward, 26 years old, from Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, performing Magic Man by Heart, 3 S's in. She was really good. There's a contestant, Brock Rinn, performing Sherry by the Four Seasons. He got 3 no's. So did the contestant Jules from Charlotte, North Carolina, 25 years old, 3 no's. Josiah Dyer, 23 years old, from Charleston, Maine, performing My Way for Frank Sinatra, got 3 no's. There's a lot of no's in this episode, which caught me off guard. Brooks, 22 years old, from Bel Air, Maryland, performing Your Place at My Place by Joshua Sloan, Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan, got 3 S's. Young little girl named Lainey Grace. This was probably my favorite part of the episode. 16 years old, Prattville, Alabama, performing Honest by Kindle Inskeep, who is a young singer who happened to be the next contestant in. And she was like, oh my God, they're singing my song. She's singing my song. And then they let Kendall in the room, and Lainey had no idea. Some may say it's script, some may say it's a coincidence, but I thought that was pretty cool. But she got 1 yes and 2 no's. I think Lainey's a year away. I just don't think she has a mature voice. And it was the same situation with the young boy. Carrie gave her a yes, but the 2 gentlemen gave her a no. But I personally didn't think she was ready. And then Kendall performs an original song, Prayer for a Trying Daughter. And she got 3 yeses in. And this was a cool part of the episode. There's a boy named Brian. Brian Thomas from Mobile, Alabama. They had the girlfriend speaking, and the judges were not allowed to see him for some reason. He performed Against All Odds by Phil Collins, and he didn't want to be seen because he was known on TikTok as the shower boy, where he would be singing in the shower. He got viral. And then 3 yeses in, the family's there, and then Brian comes back from behind, and he goes down on one knee and proposes to his girlfriend, Aliana, who was speaking for Brian in the intro. And then last was a young girl, Chloe Marie, from Jacksonville, Florida, 15 years old. So there's a woman, Heather Wyatt, who lost her daughter to suicide. And the daughter was 13 years old, and the story went viral. And then Chloe Marie discovered the story and then performed an original called Forever 13 at the audition. And I think she also sang the song on TikTok. It went viral. And the mom, Heather, found out about it, and I guess she was in communication with Chloe this whole time, and they had Heather surprise Chloe at the audition, which was awesome. Chloe got 3 S's in the Hollywood. Last night's episode was good too, but we'll save that either for tomorrow or the end of the week. Maybe tomorrow, and then we'll do Masked Singer Thursday. I think that's going to be the plan. Okay, now move on to On This Day. So, oh my god, next year's On This Day for today is going to be fun. For, like, today, you know? Okay, so on this day, February 3rd, 2013, Ravens defeat 49ers in Super Bowl 47. That was the power outage game. John Harbaugh's only Super Bowl win. 2019, Patriots defeat Rams in Super Bowl 53. 2023, Kyrie Irving requests trade. 2018, Tom Brady named NFL MVP. 2018, Ray Lewis elected to Pro Football Hall of Fame. 2022, Jaguars hire Doug Peterson. 2025, Myles Garrett requests trade, and he's still with the Browns. 2018, Randy Moss elected to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. 2025, Leonard Hamilton retiring as head coach of Florida State basketball. I forgot that happened. Like, when I did my college basketball predictions show, I predicted that he was going to retire. Or no, that was Jim Larinaga. I forgot retired. I forgot Leonard Hamilton did too. 2018, Aaron Donald named Defensive Player of the Year. 2017, Michael Vick officially retires. And 2020, Astros hired James Click as general manager. So there you have it for On This Day. We go on to news and notes now, and there is a very, very big NBA trade. Well, 2 of them. But the big one, the Memphis Grizzlies trade Jaren Jackson Jr. to the Utah Jazz in what is an absolute monster trade. There's a lot of moving parts to this. So, Jaren Jackson Jr., John Conchar, Jock Lindale, and Vince Williams Jr. to the Utah Jazz for Walter Clayton Jr., Kyle Anderson, Taylor Hendricks, Georges Niang, and 3 future first-round picks. This is an all-time tank trade for Memphis because you know Ja's going next. And they're not going to get a lot for Ja. And I think that's why they said, you know what, let's just blow it up. We're not good anyway. And this one makes me so freaking mad about losing that best bet. I think that said more about Minnesota than it did about Memphis. I just wish Memphis did this trade last night. Maybe I win that bet. If that's probably a different betting line. But and in Utah, they're looking at it as, hey, I know we're bad, but we need to start building something. The GM says, hey, I need to start making some win now moves. There's pressure on me. The coach has been there for a while, and they probably are feeling the pressure from ownership to make this move. I know you're in a crowded Western Conference, but that Western Conference isn't going to be, well, it is a monster right now. It's going to be a monster, but like teams like Minnesota aren't going to be there forever. The Lakers, the Clippers, who we'll get to. You know, San Antonio and OKC are going to be there long term. Houston, I think, depending on if some of their young guys actually pop, like, not saying to the Wemby degree or even the SGA degree, but on an all-star level. Not all NBA level, but even on an all-star level. I think that team can still be competitive. So, I think Utah saw an opportunity, and plus they had a lot of assets anyway from the Gobert trade and the Mitchell trade from a couple of years ago that are in this trade going to Memphis among the future draft picks. And then the draft picks that are in the deal. But yeah, I think it's surprising of the team. So yeah, and then I'm trying to find the picks that are in this deal. So it's, I know the 2027 Lakers picks in that deal, and that Utah had that pick because of the Russell Westbrook trade. And then they get so the most favorable 2027 first round pick, Cleveland, Minnesota, Utah. That goes to Memphis. The Lakers 2027 first round pick, that was in the Westbrook trade. And the Suns 2031 first round pick to the Grizzlies. How did the Suns pick get in there? Durant, maybe? Was that a Durant trade pick? That's a good pick. That Suns pick in 2031. Who knows if Devin Booker's still going to be there by then. But wow. I think Memphis did fantastic in this deal. And I don't hate it for Utah either. But now, to me, that makes either Lauri Markkanen or Walker Kessler expandable for the summer. Or does Markkanen get dealt within the next 48 hours? So I think there's a lot of fascination on the Utah side of it. I don't hate it. I just don't know if those 3 bigs can all coexist. Because I know 2 of them can't rebound well. And Kessler's out for the year. So I think this trade makes either Kessler or Lauri Markkanen expandable. And to me, Triple J is a power forward center. Markkanen to me is just a stretch 4. And Walker's just a 5. So now they have a big conundrum, no pun intended, to fix here. And the other trade that happened, a 3-team trade, the Bulls, the Timberwolves, and the Pistons. This was a weird one. As the three teams agreed to a multi-team deal that sends Jaden Ivey and Mike Conley Jr. to the Bulls, Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric to the Pistons, and Detroit received a 2026 first-round pick swap from Minnesota. I think it's a precursor trade for Minnesota. I like the deal for the Bulls because they get a player who could be a building block for them down the road who really hasn't panned out with the Pistons. And you could also argue that this is a precursor trade for Detroit. I like Kevin Huerter, but I don't look at him. I think Jaden Ivey, you can make a case, is a better asset than Kevin Huerter. Kevin Huerter and Dario Saric are nice depth pieces, but I don't think that puts them past the Knicks in the Eastern Conference or the Celtics when Tatum comes back. To me, it's the Knicks and the Celtics, and then the Pistons in the Eastern Conference, and then Philly maybe, and there's one team we're going to talk about right now. But yeah, like I said, I think it's a precursor for either Detroit or definitely for Minnesota, maybe even for Detroit, because I think they can reroute those players to another team to go, like Michael Porter Jr. from Brooklyn, or that would be a better fit for Detroit than these two guys. But I don't love giving up Ivy if I'm the Pistons, but then again, you have to give up something to get something good. But I just don't think that Jaden Ivey's worth 2 role players. That's all. Maybe I'm higher on Jaden Ivey. And then it was reported last night, it had me shocked. The Clippers and the Cavaliers have had conversations about a Darius Garland for James Harden swap. That was reported by Chris Mannix of Sports Illustrated last night. And then Shams reported during the Clippers game, ironically, that the team and Harden are working through whether it decides to find a deal by the trade deadline. Both sides are aligned in conversations. So it looks like this 1-for-1's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now, I'd like it better for the Clippers than for Cleveland. I know Cleveland needs a shakeup, but why would you trade somebody young for somebody that's 10 years older and has a bad playoff history? If I'm the Knicks, you're doing jumping jacks with this because yet again, you're going to have James Harden in the fucking playoffs choking with another team. If you're Philly, if you're Boston, you're anybody. Knicks, Boston, Detroit, Philly, you're doing jumping jacks right now if Cleveland pulls this trade off. Because I think Cleveland gets worse, personally. Like, there has to be more moving parts to this, but we know James Harden's history. And I don't know if I love the fit with him and Donovan Mitchell, because I don't look at Donovan Mitchell as a real point guard. To me, he's the same type of player as James Harden. So I don't like the fit at all. Meanwhile, for the Clippers, I really like this fit. They get a young point guard and a future player to build around. And then there's another conspiracy theory among this. And it's why I pointed out on yesterday's show why Kawhi Leonard didn't make the All-Star team. Aspirations. I think they're training James Harden because they know that Kawhi's getting suspended and their season's going to go down the tank because of this suspension for Kawhi Leonard that's going to drop after the All-Star game. And this aspiration stuff with all the penalties. And I think that's why they're trading Harden. That's just my conspiracy theory. And then Garland, I don't know if the Clippers want to tank per se, but I think they want to get a little younger so they can remain competitive. And this could be like an opportunity for Garland to develop into the guy that the Cavaliers thought he was going to be. So I like the deal for the Clippers long term. I don't love the fit with James Harden and Donovan Mitchell because I look at Donovan Mitchell as a younger version of James Harden. And like I said, if you're the Knicks, if you're the Celtics, if you're the Sixers, if you're the Pistons, you're doing jumping jacks because you know what Cleveland's destiny is going to be. Unless if they don't do this trade. So it's going to be very interesting. It looks like this trade is going to happen. And And the Memphis Grizzlies are still chopping John Morant, but they're not going to get a lot for him, and I think that's why they traded Triple J. Drake May says he's feeling great. He downplays the concerns. Lindsey Vonn to compete at the Olympics, as she'll participate in Milan. Robert Kraft does not get Hall of Fame as he's not selected for 2026 class. That's according to Adam Schefter. I'm not surprised. Belichick's not, neither is he. And this, again, to me, circles back to Deflategate and Spygate. It's the new age of how things are looked at. It's why, Eli Manning had nothing to do with Deflategate and Spygate. But the new age looks at Eli Manning. He's nobody if he doesn't go on the 2 Super Bowl runs. But look at who he beat in those Super Bowl runs. Very good Packers teams with both Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, respectively. A good Cowboys team. A really good 49ers team coached by Jim Harbaugh. I think the first Super Bowl run was harder than the second one. And, of course, they beat the giant that is Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots, who was the best football team of this century. So, I think Eli Manning belongs in the Hall of Fame. I think that Belichick and Kraft, in spite of their mishaps, Deflategate and Spygate, belong in the Hall of Fame. But now the question is, will Tom get punished for Spygate, Deflategate? If Kraft and Belichick are, then will Tom too. And like I said, it's all about the new age, and you have to be perfect in everybody's eyes. Everybody has flaws. Eli finished with a losing record, but that was because of the teams that the Giants surrounded him with the last few years, and all those missed draft picks in the 2010s, like David Wilson and Eric Flowers, and the list goes on and on. And Belichick and Kraft, it's because of Spygate and Deflategate. Miles Bridges likely to stay put, despite trade interest from the Bucks, Warriors, and Suns. Draymond could be in the Giannis deal, as he's well aware that the Warriors could package him in the trade for Giannis. The Hornets are talking Alonzo trade, as preliminary conversation took place with Cavs involving second-round picks. Donovan Mitchell would welcome Harden, as he's believed to be open to adding an experienced ball handler. James Harden wants a trade because he desires a longer contract than 2 years, $82 million. Well, I don't think he deserves that. And then the other big news today, the Giants are hiring Matt Nagy as their offensive coordinator. This is after that they missed out on Todd Monken after he took the Browns head coaching job. I gotta be honest, I think there are better candidates for the Giants to hire, but I think this is because they didn't think that Todd Monken was taking the Browns head coaching job. He would have been the OC had he not taken the Browns job. I don't dislike Matt Nagy as a coordinator. To me, he was just not a good head coach. Granted, as a head coach, his quarterbacks are Mitch Trubisky and Justin Fields. So that's a case for him to be successful. And I do think that the Chiefs' offense, I think they let go of Matt Nagy. Kind of. But I think Andy Reid had a soft firing. And to be honest with you, I think they wanted Eric Bieniemy back. To me, it was like they got rid of him so they could bring back Eric Bieniemy. And that's not on Matt Nagy. And I know the Chiefs' offense underachieved last year. But I think that was more about the lack of talent and a worse offensive line. That's just my opinion. And that had nothing to do with Matt Nagy. To me, that was a roster issue with the Chiefs offensively. And Mahomes getting hurt rather than Matt Nagy. And I looked at Matt Nagy. He was not necessarily the fall guy in Kansas City. I just think that they wanted to bring back Eric Bieniemy. That's how I looked at it. And then Andy Reid was very supportive of him getting a head coaching job and was calling for him to land one of these head coaching jobs. But I actually don't hate the hire. But I don't think it's a grand slam either. Because like I said, there are better options on the board. Mike McDaniel, um, obviously Monken, who went to the Browns. But to me, where the Giants kind of do get blame here is for putting all their eggs in one basket. I know they really didn't do that with Harbaugh. Some may say they did, others may say they didn't. But at least they nailed the head coaching hire. So yeah, that's that. I just think that they had it was where the Giants were wrong was putting all their eggs in the Todd Monken basket because you never know. So the Steelers are getting ready to host the draft. Kawhi comments on the Harden rumor. He's putting his trust in the Clippers front office. Cleveland wants the Clippers to attach a pick with Harden for Garland, as personally I think they should. And then both sides in advanced discussions on potential trades as Harden was ruled out for personal reasons. That was reported by the report by Mannix. The White Sox at a clubhouse bite it as GM Chris Getz says that they will install one after Muntakaka Murakami's request. And then the Giannis sweepstakes are led by the T-Wolves, the Heat, and the Warriors. And then the Wolves are zeroing in as Giannis as they're recruiting third and fourth teams to improve the trade offer. So that's why I'm curious about that weird trade they made with Conley. So NFL adds 2026 Mexico City game as the league is the host of a total of 9 international games. There's some unhappy people. Why do we have to go 8 o'clock in the morning? Shut the fuck up. Tom Monken says the trader of Sanders is not QB1, as he says Sanders' role is still to be determined. And then Travis Switzer joins the Browns as their new OC after 9 seasons with the Ravens. And this is more proof that the Pro Bowl is an absolute joke. Justin Fields declines the Pro Bowl games as he's focusing on off-season training. Justin fucking Fields does not belong in the Pro Bowl. This is just as bad as Shader and Joe Flacco. Broncos named new offensive coordinator as they promote passing game coordinator Davis Webb. I like that for Denver. The Titans are hiring a new DC as 49ers assistant head coach Gus Bradley is joining Robert Saleh's staff. I don't hate that. Gus Bradley has experience as a DC. Steph Curry's out tonight against the Sixers. Undergoing treatment for runner's knee. Dustin May called out the Spartans of MSU a very dangerous play during the rivalry matchup on Friday night. Jalen Duren in the dunk contest. And then a baseball trade happened last night. I kind of forgot about this. Or yesterday afternoon. The Seattle Mariners acquired Brendan Donovan from the Cardinals. And then it was a 3-team trade involving the Tampa Bay Rays. And this is a fascinating trade. I like it for the Mariners. I think that improves their chances to go to the World Series. Cardinals got righty Gerangelo Sagente, center fielder Ty Pete, outfielder Colton Ledbetter, 2 competitive balance round B picks, and the Rays get third baseman Ben Williamson. It's an interesting deal, to say the least. I think the best player in the deal is obviously Donovan. I think the Rays, I feel like they gave up a lot to get Ben Williamson. They must think he's a franchise player of some sort. And then the Cardinals get future draft picks and some stuff for Donovan. And now the Cardinals get worse, obviously. The Mariners, I think you can make a case they're the team to beat in the American League because I just think they needed more offensive firepower because I'm not convinced that Cal Raleigh's going to repeat the year he had. But on the flip side, I think Julio Rodriguez is in for a monster season. So those two things can cancel each other out. And then Brendan Donovan's there and Randy Arozarena, who I like as a player and has 30, 35 home run potential as well. So I do think they're favorites in that division. But in the American League, I think it's them, the Blue Jays, Boston, if their offense gets better without Bregman, and the healthy Yankees, I think, are the four. Baltimore, I like their offense, but I just think that I'm very sure Shane Baz is worth the trade package. Like, that's my only question for them. But a lot of people right now looks like they are predicting 4 AL East teams to the playoffs, which is crazy. And I was really hoping that the Oakland Athletics would be there too, because I like their foundation. I just think they need pitching. Like Mitch Keller from Pittsburgh, I think would be a good addition. I mean, what if they're like the surprise team and all of a sudden Paul Skeens or Tariq Skubal's on their team? But the AL Central to me is the most confusing because it's all about Skubal. It's kind of like the Bucks with Giannis right now. I just think that that's a one-man decides the outcome team. So, yeah, I like the deal for the Mariners getting Donovan. I do think they should be the favorites in that division. I wasn't sure about it because I do like Houston's pitching. I know their offense is aging. They're kind of like the Yankees of that division, Houston. Like the aging offense, but the good pitching kind of team. And then Texas, I think, has gotten better too, but I don't know how much better. It says there's some age on their roster as well. We'll talk more about baseball when it gets closer. That was too much baseball talk. Like I said, I like that deal for the Mariners getting Brendan Donovan. And then Edwin Diaz to pitch in the WBC is he's returning to Team Puerto Rico after suffering season-ending injury in 2023 tournament. So that's cool to see Edwin Diaz pitching in that. All right, so there you have it for news and notes. Best bet of the day brought to you by FanDuel. I know news and notes was too long. Like I said, news and notes was the big thing today with the trades and Giannis, and we had a bunch of stuff in news and notes. So, best bet. There's a couple I like. And the one I'm going to go with is, there's two I really like. One in the NBA and one in college basketball. I'm going to go with the college basketball pick because I did like the Pistons, but that trade happened, so I don't know. And then betting against Jokic is not fun, and Jokic is playing, so I'm going to stay away from the Pistons for best bet. So, college basketball, I'm going to go against a team I've gone against a couple times this year. Sometimes it's worked out. The one time it didn't work out, they won by 1 point. They were favored, and that's Boise State. I'm taking Nevada plus 5.5 against Boise. I just think that Boise is a little overrated. They lost to a D2 school the first game of the year. Like, I think they get too much respect. I think Nevada's disrespected. They have a good coach, and they have a good team, and I think Nevada wins outright. They're plus 220 as well. All right, so there you have it for the show. I'll be back tomorrow. Who knows if it'll be this long of a show? We'll see. Hope you guys have a great day, everyone.